Formula One is defined as much by its rivalries as by its fast cars and the thrills. When the stakes are so high, it's obvious that rivalries develop between the drivers. It's not uncommon for opposing teams to go head-to-head in a battle for supremacy. But every once in a while, the battle is contained within the same garage. And in the midst of all the attention and the incredible skills on display, the sport can become grotesque. And eventually, rivalries arise as a result of ego clashes and jealousy. We're kind of used to drivers colliding and going straight into the walls with extreme speed, but we aren't used to drivers fighting in the pit box, sending each other dead wishes, or just not speaking to a teammate for over a decade. In this video, we will look at 5 of the bloodiest rivalries in Formula One history. So without further ado, let's begin. Number 5. Lewis Hamilton versus Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso is arguably the only driver of their generation who Lewis Hamilton hasn't beaten decisively. However, unfortunate or rash career decisions have frequently left Alonso fighting with lackluster equipment, leaving us with a feeling of what could have been, such as their fight in the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2021. It started more promisingly though. At the start of 2007, Alonso was a 2-time world champion, having ended Michael Schumacher's reign, while Hamilton was the junior category sensation. They were paired at McLaren and provided a thrilling storyline to the season, finishing on equal points, with Hamilton edging it out on a second-place countback. But it was only for second place, as their battle allowed Ferrari's Kimi Raikkonen to win the driver's title at the season's final race in Brazil. After joining McLaren, Alonso didn't get the one-on-one treatment he had hoped for, causing friction within the team. Normally, this was between Alonso and McLaren's management rather than between the two drivers, but the tensions were high at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hamilton's failure to let Alonso pass on the track as agreed meant the Spaniard retaliated by waiting in the pits long enough to deny Hamilton a final run. Alonso set the fastest time but was then penalized 5 places, handing pole and the race to Hamilton. Alonso was also involved in the McLaren-Ferrari Spygate scandal, as his relationship with the team's management deteriorated to the point where he returned to Renault for the 2008 season. For 2010, Alonso joined Ferrari, while Hamilton teamed up with Jenson Button at McLaren. Over the next 3 years, both Alonso and Hamilton shone brightly, but neither was able to beat Sebastian Vettel in Adrian Newey's brilliant Red Bulls. Hamilton has been a championship contender with Mercedes since 2014, while Alonso struggled with uncompetitive Ferraris and McLarens before winning the Le Mans 24 Hours twice, the World Endurance Championship, and a run at the Indy 500. Number 4. Hill versus Schumacher. Damon Hill was tasked to lead Williams to the 1994 World Championship after the tragedy at Imola. He had a long and arduous battle with Benetton's Michael Schumacher, which culminated in controversial contact in the final round of the Australian Grand Prix. Schumacher had made a mistake, colliding with the wall and causing damage to his car. As Hill approached to take over the position and the title, the two collided at the next corner. Schumacher was disqualified on the spot, Hill's car was crippled, and Schumacher was crowned champion. The pair collided again the following season at Silverstone, though this was more due to Hill's mistake than any Schumacher controversy, and both retired from Italy after contact. That season, Schumacher won yet again, and though Hill would win the championship the following year, in 1996, the 2 years prior defined the relationship and rivalry. Number 3. Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. Mercedes has dominated the turbo hybrid era, where their 7 world titles in a row are an unrivaled feat in the sport. It wasn't easy though. When Lewis Hamilton joined Mercedes, he would team up with his good friend Nico Rosberg. They grew up together in karting and were overjoyed when Rosberg won his first podium. However, the relationship would quickly deteriorate. In 2014, the Silver Arrows were involved in a close battle. Rosberg was criticized for slamming Hamilton into the combs during a crash in Belgium. The battle came down to the final race, and Hamilton won due to mechanical issues in Rosberg's car. However, it was in 2016 that things really started to heat up. Mercedes only lost 2 races, and the first one in Spain was the most contentious. In turn 1, Rosberg took the lead from Hamilton, which he didn't take lightly. Rosberg swerved over to the inside to defend the lead, pushing Hamilton onto the grass. Both Mercedes were stranded in the kitty litter after the Brit span and collected his teammate. It was the first sign of a deteriorating relationship between the two, which both included verbal and physical battles. Rosberg won the championship at the end of the season, and that was enough for him. He announced his retirement later that year at the prize-giving ceremony. He had fulfilled his ambitions, and that was enough for him. Number 2. James Hunt versus Niki Lauda. James Hunt and Niki Lauda probably are the 2 most popular Formula One drivers. The rivalry between the two was so intense that a famous Hollywood film, Rush, was made about it. Hunt and Lauda had completely opposite personalities, which adds to the intrigue of this F1 rivalry. While Hunt was a typical playboy who knew how to drive fast cars, Lauda was the polar opposite. In his mind, Lauda was a technician with an irresistible desire to win races. The rivalry really took off during the 1986 season. Hunt, driving a McLaren, and Lauda, driving a Ferrari, would face off in a heated battle. Niki had been severely burned in a horrific crash at the Nürburgring, handing Hunt the victory, but he miraculously returned after a couple of races after realizing Hunt was running with the championship. The Austrian had a 3-point lead going into the final race in Fiji. However, he withdrew in the middle of the race, allowing Hunt to win. There wasn't a lot of bad blood between competitors on the track. Hunt's dedication to his victory was evident in his praise of his arch-rival's dedication and love for the sport. Quite honestly, I wanted to win the championship and felt I deserved it, but I also feel Niki deserved the championship. I just wish we could have shared it, said Hunt. Number 1. Alain Prost versus Ayrton Senna, 1984 to 1993. The rivalry between Prost and Senna is, without a doubt, the greatest of all time, with the duo clashing as teammates at McLaren and again as foes after the Frenchman moved to Ferrari. No other head-to-head has produced more world titles, 7 in a 9-year period between 1985 and 1993. It all started in 1984 at the Monaco Grand Prix when bad weather forced only 8 of the 20 starters to finish. But the Brazilian rookie was flying in the uncompetitive Toleman in only his 6th F1 race. As soon as he was caught, Prost waved frantically at the stewards, requesting that the race be red flagged because the conditions were unsafe. Senna passed a slowing Prost as they crossed the finish line, and the officials obliged. He believed he had won his first Formula One race, but he hadn't realized the results would be based on the previous lap. As you might expect, Senna was not pleased. Senna and Prost came to blows on the track several times after becoming teammates in 1988. In 1989, they collided near the end of the championship's penultimate round at Suzuka, ending Prost's race and giving Senna the victory. The Brazilian was controversially disqualified for cutting the chicane, handing the championship to Prost. Senna was in the box seat heading into the penultimate race in Japan a year later, knowing he would win his second championship if Prost failed to finish. As a result, he made sure the Frenchman didn't finish, taking him out at the first corner in a move he admitted was deliberate a year later. In 1993, Prost won his 4th World Championship with Williams, and the pair finished first and second in the driver's standings for the 5th and final time, with the Frenchman retiring at the end of the year. Almost immediately, their animosity dissipated, and he and Senna became friends until the latter's death in 1994 at Imola. What do you think of our rankings? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you are new to this channel to be notified when we upload more content.